where I'm working now.
Love
Would
that.
be, yeah.
So, hello, Miss Malarie Webster. How are you?
Good. How are you, Vanessa?
I'm good. I actually don't think I've had the pleasure of meeting you before.
No, and it's been an anticipated week and a half, and I'm really excited to get into it and answer some questions and just have a good, honest conversation.
Well, I'm actually really looking forward to the same thing, but I'm also interested in learning a lot more about your culture.
Yeah.
And understanding where I read that one of your dreams was to open up your own food truck and to be able to bring that native ingredients into culture, into our, like, migrated. And I just think that that's so exciting. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Strathfield in Sydney, and then eventually moved out to Newtown. And then also during my high school years, I moved up to Woy Woy on the Central Coast. And I graduated high school in 2007. And, you know, my mum wanted me to sort of follow the community services career path. And so during you know, leaving high school and the years that followed, I sort of didn't know where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do, and I was struggling a little bit, you know, with my own personal addictions and you know, I was raised in a white family, and so I had a real struggle. Yeah. So I had a big struggle with trying to find my identity, and which ultimately led to drug addictions and partying and getting into trouble and all that sort of stuff. And sort of the only thing that kept me constant was cooking for the family. And my grandmother, you know, was notorious for the roasts, and sort of would be able to put a roast in the oven and she wouldn't check it, and as soon as she pulled it out, it was ready. And just the whole communal thing about you know, the family sitting around the table and laughing and eating food was a common thread throughout my life. So I naturally fell into wanting to cook, and you know, I had a lot of issues during the drug addiction, and you know, I was actually in detox when I got acceptance into an apprenticeship program. So I just went all in, and I never used the drug ever since. So
I'm really proud of you. So you said that you were brought up in a white family. You were adopted?
Yeah. So I was a state of the ward until I was 9 years old, and I'd been in that family since I was 2.5. And my mother, who was English and Polish, she actually gained guardianship of me at 9 years old. I'd always known where my biological maternal side of the family was from. It wasn't until I got a bit older that I found out where my paternal side is you know, part of what I'm exploring now, and I'm making connections. And so as well as sort of professionally trying to learn a bit more about native ingredients, I'm also on a personal experience and journey as well, and that seems to be tying in with food as well. So
that's really cool. So, you know, the food service industry can sometimes be blamed for drug addictions and drinking and that sort of thing, just because of the fact that it's quite high pressure, long hours. But you actually found it the other way.
Yeah. I you know, I think part of that was me not knowing where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. And I think it, you know, being in the industry and being in such a vulnerable position, I needed that structure and I needed that slog. And I had a brilliant team. You know, I worked with Barry McDonald down at Fratelli Fresh, and I had a whole brigade of young men that really pushed me to the edge, which is what I needed. You know, I didn't have that structure. I didn't have that, you know, that dedication at that time, you know. And I knew pretty much straight away as soon as I started the apprenticeship program, and that was through the National Indigenous Culinary Institute down in Sydney. I knew that when I entered that program that if I was going to do this, it was going to be about the love that I had for food, and I got really serious about making those changes. Not to say I haven't struggled, you know, through my career with it, but it's something that I've been very conscious of and very aware that, you know, having that addictive mind and thought process that I needed to, you know, push myself to do the best that I can. And I stand here today almost 7 years sober, so I'm very proud of that.
That is just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, so literally cooking saved my life.
Sorry, say that again.
Literally cooking has saved my life.
It's amazing. Yeah. I'm so proud of you. So tell me about the Indigenous program that you went through with your training.
Yeah, so that's a industry-inspired initiative program, and it's created to produce highly skilled Indigenous chefs. It was originally designed by some of the top chefs in the country that Australia has to offer. We had Neil Perry involved, Graham Brahimi, Michael McMahon, who owned Catalina. Rest in peace. He's now passed on.
Yeah.
We had Jill Duplex, Terry Durack, and Barry McDonald. And they were all involved in creating a program specifically for Indigenous people to go through some of the best restaurants that Australia has to offer. We had some of the chefs down at Rockpool, Catalina, as I said, Aria, Fratelli Fresh, just to name a few. And also to the NICI is a program that supports regional, you know, if Indigenous people are travelling from, say, Northern Territory or South Australia or wherever it may be, they actually provide the support where, you know, if you do go into this program, they will set you up with accommodation and pretty much set you up for success. So I can't speak highly enough about the program. The CEO, Nathan Lovett, he's a proud Apical ancestor, a Yuin man, and he supports alumni, and he also creates connections and sponsors and all that sort of stuff to come in and help the program. So he's definitely someone worth having a talk to if anybody gets a chance. And yeah, so it's
So how many people were going through the program? Did it actually give you then the chance to connect back with your culture?
It did, in terms of, you know, sort of having a common thread with the apprentices. You know, all of us had some form of Indigenous background. We all came from different nations, and I think the best part about it is that even after the program's now done and dusted, I think we all still have pretty special relationships. And you know, in terms of the training that we did, I think it really set us all up for future jobs. And, you know, wherever we wanted to go, we could kind of feel confident that we had the skills to do that. So yeah. So
and it's really nice that the industry, you know, in some of those venues that you mentioned before, that they really got behind the program. And how did you find that transition? Have you been in the kitchen before then?
No, I hadn't been in a kitchen before that. I was actually I was working at a refuge, a youth refuge in Gosford, and part of that transition too was kind of feeling a little bit hypocritical about, you know, telling youth that, you know, you really shouldn't be doing drugs, you really shouldn't be doing this, when, you know, I'm essentially showing up under the influence. And so I always knew that cooking was something that I wanted to do, and I always had a lot of fights and disagreements with my mother, who really wanted me to go along the community services line. And I think part of it too had to do with sort of the wage that I was going to be earning and the hours that I was going to be doing and the travel backwards and forwards from the coast to Sydney and back. And so, just having the love for cooking and the industry is kind of what you need to, you're not going to be making the best dollars. You're not going to be home very often. You're going to be burnt. You're going to get, all the stuff that comes along with the dedication. And yeah, I love it. There's nothing, there's nothing I can, yeah.
No, sorry. We've got a delay just in case anyone's listening today, and I'm sorry about that. I'm not too sure what's happening. So Liz Clinton just said, watching from Menindee.
Yep. Yep, Menindee.
Yep, Menindee.
Hello, sister.
Camp sister, can't wait to catch up with you again.
Yeah. So Liz was part of the Djinda Ngardak program that we were a part of in Dubbo at Long Distance Ed, and she was responsible for the beautiful cocktails that came with the food. So big shout out to you, Liz, and yeah, hopefully we'll talk soon. And yeah, she created some beautiful drinks, and she was worried that it wasn't going to work out, but I think everything worked out for the best, and I couldn't be more prouder to be a part of that program. And also, Adam Moore, who was instrumental in hyping everyone up and getting them pumped and ready. And he's just a beautiful man through and through, on screen, off screen. He's I can't praise him enough.
You're amazing. I love that. And you are right. I mean, look, Adam's incredible. I know that he thinks very highly of you. I mean, he's the one that connected us. And he just said, Vanessa, Malerie is someone you need to chat to. She's such an inspiring person. So, so you've kind of gone through your struggles. I mean, did your mum want you to stay in that refugee space because you've got a nurturing soul about you?
I think it was because she was in community services. She worked as a disabilities coordinator at a disabilities employment agency. And growing up, I'd always have fond memories of meeting some of her clients, and she was really passionate about the community sector. And I think to an extent she pushed me to do that because maybe I do have sort of like an empathetic side. But I think it was more, let's keep this family tradition running. But I love and respect her, and eventually she came to realise that I was serious about being in the hospitality industry, and we have no regrets, and yeah, so. Yeah.
So tell me, going through school, did you always have the ability to stay? When did you start learning more about your culture, about your traditions, and more about that Indigenous side?
I think part of wanting to explore that and learn more about that was, when I started to realise that I was a bit different from everyone at school, or I was missing something, or not being able to experience being in my birth family and my mob. I think probably around the age of 15 or 16. It wasn't until I was 30 that I met my father, which was only last year. So it was. I'd love to know a lot more about my food and native ingredients, and that will come in time. At present, I'm utilising ingredients that I've used before, that I have knowledge about, and sort of where I'm working now, we're slowly implementing native ingredients, the wattle seed, the strawberry gums, and I've got Davidson Plums here. Just unfortunately due to lockdown, we've kind of had to come to a screeching halt.
So where are you spending lockdown at?
So I'm actually in Mudgee. I live about 25 k's out of town, so on a nice little farm, and I'm going a bit stir crazy at home. If lockdown doesn't finish soon, the whole house is going to be painted blue. So yeah, just enjoying the time at home and being able to do the little odd jobs, and I'm getting a bit stir crazy, and I've found a really beautiful workplace now, and I can't wait to get back into it.
So tell me about the new workplace that you found.
So right now I've been employed by Pipe Clay Pump House, and beautiful couple Andy and Lara Cristani own. And Andy's menus, they're designed to create and pay homage to the land. A lot of it is paddock to plate, and both of them are very humble and kind and very nurturing people. And the weeks preceding lockdown, we were working a little bit on our menu, and just using little things, like there was a cumin and wattle seed, a tossed heirloom carrot that was used to accompany a duck dish, and so everything that he produces sort of has an intention, and it's meticulously calculated, and
it tells a story.
And it's long hours. Yeah, it's as if I've reverted back to being an apprentice, because there are some beautiful restaurants out here, and wineries, and the industry is booming. But being back at basics, like I've spent a lot of years experimenting and working at clubs and pubs and your bistros and all that sort of stuff, and to come across a gem like this, it's an opportunity that I can't pass up. And Andy's a great head chef. He's really a really good guy. So.
And do you think that it's so good because you're at that level of maturity now where it's your time to shine and to really, you kind of come to understand food better?
Yeah, I think learning fundamentals and learning basics. I mean, I'm never unafraid to go back to basics if I need to, and I think part of it is being humble and being honest with your skill set and your level, and also to finding that right team and that right balance of what they're doing is gonna help you grow, and passion, that passion that you're going to have. You need to be passionate in what you're putting up, because if you don't have passion, or you don't have the interest in doing what you're doing, then why are you doing it? And I think where I'm working, I know where I'm working now, is pushing me a bit further. So, I'm not sort of complacent in, doing meat and 3 veg. I'm doing some really amazing stuff, and it gives me a boost, and makes me want to do better. And I think also too, when you get to the point where you're not learning, or you don't feel like you're learning something new every day, I think it just becomes a job. And I've always had the philosophy, if you love what you do, then it's not a job. You're not afraid to work a 14-hour shift, or however long you need to. Yes, you make sacrifices at home, and that really comes down to your partners being supportive and understanding. So yeah.
I really love that. So talk to me about some of the native ingredients that you like to work with.
Yeah. So one of my favourite things, and maybe some people might disagree, but I really love Davidson plums. I think they're beautiful. They're sour. You know, they normally grow mid North Coast, so towards you know, sort of, you know, Taree and all past up that way. Yeah, they're sour. They're versatile. You know, they're just a punch in the face. And I like bold flavors. I like bush tomatoes because they're tart. I like, you know, everything that's native tends to be a bit tart or a bit salty. Salt bush grows a lot out where we live, out in not so much in Mudgee, but where my mob's from. So out in Wilcannia and out where Liz is, out in Menindee, at Broken Hill, you'll find salt bush all along the roads out there. You know, so last trip I did, we had kids in the car, and I said, "Come on, jump out of the car," and you know, so I was sort of introducing them to the salt bush and.
And what do you do with the salt bush?
So you can. Well, what Andy does is he actually just lightly fries it so it goes crispy, but it's still salty. So that'd be like a native chip. You know, if you were to use that on top of a meat dish, you could use it as a braise. You could do salt bush lamb, which is probably one of the most common things that people have heard of. It's really versatile.
Do you know who does a really nice salt bush? Is Hamish.
Yeah.
You know Hamish?
Yeah.
And he temperatures it, and he just serves it as a like a side.
Yeah. Yeah. You can. Every native ingredient is versatile, and it's very forgiving in how you want to use it. You know, you could do anything. If you are open to experimenting with it, then there's no limit. There's no limit.
I've never heard of these plums before. Tell me a little bit more about them.
So Davidson plums, they have, I think it's 80 times more vitamin C than oranges, probably even higher than that. They're very acidic. They grow in warmer climates. They're a nice purple colour. They look a bit like a plum. They're not furry, and they've got 4 seeds inside. We actually did with the program, we made a Davidson plum, just a nice sauce to go underneath a panna cotta.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And you can also use Davidson plums in desserts or savoury. So you could marinate emu with Davidson plums. You could make, like I said, a sauce for a dessert. It's versatile. It's very versatile, and I love that sour. You know, when you bite into something and you go, oh, that's crazy. That's, you know, and it gets your senses going, and you're like, oh my God, you know, that's what I love.
It kind of makes sense, right? It's kind of like your chili.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and traditionally, you know, maybe Indigenous people would have used them, you know, to travel through on foot, you know, as long boosting, you know, almost like an energy drink, you could say. You know, they would, and also part of the history with that too is that they would, as they were coming through nations or tribes or, you know, countries, they would have a bartering system. So if they had, you know, a handful of Davidson plums and say if they came through my way and we had copious amounts of saltbush, then we're going to trade. Well, you know, this is a way for us to say we're not coming in as a threat, we're coming in on a peaceful term. And so it was also used to barter and to create connections. So
okay, and what about, have you had a lot to do with emu and some of the other Indigenous proteins, I suppose?
Yeah. So there was another place that I did some work at in Mudgee here, and they used emu and kangaroo A lot of native ingredients, native thyme, all your myrtles. Emu is very, very rich, and it dries out really quickly. So braising that would probably be the best way to go, or marinating. And each tribe would sort of have a way of preparing that. So for emu, for me, I'm not allowed to cook emu at night because of my cultural significance, and that's something that I probably can't be talking about. But just having cultural awareness that there are some things that I can touch, some things that I can't. And this also goes through with totems as well. So traditionally we're given totems, and if we are that totem, say if I was a kangaroo, or I was, let's just say for instance I'm an emu, I can't touch emu, I can't eat emu, I can't prepare emu. My job is to keep the emus populated and care for them and protect them.
What's a totem?
So a totem is a it's something that's passed down generations. So say if my grandmother was an emu, she got married to, let's just say, a crocodile, a man from a crocodile tribe. The emu totem would be passed down on the women's side traditionally. And so eventually when I'm born, I would claim emu because that's what my mother is. And part of the reason why totems are created is to preserve an animal, or to preserve a tree, or to preserve something in nature, and that's been part of our culture for thousands of years. And I'm still learning about sort of certain things that to do with my culture, and that's just part of my journey as well. So I know that I don't have a lot of knowledge, the knowledge that I would like to have, and that comes with time. And when lockdown finishes, I can get back out there and
start to learn more about it. And have you ever got much into the art, the Indigenous art?
I have a big mural down in the shed that I did sort of to pay homage to my totem, and I've got paintings around the house, and each nation has different interpretations of footprints and animal prints and stuff like that. So I really haven't had the time to sort of sit down and learn about paintings and art, because every time I go out there, I'm asking about food. So I'm sure one day will come where the family, me and my family will be able to just sit back and talk about those things, and hopefully I'll have all the knowledge that I need to have.
That'd be really nice. I think it'd be nice to see you kind of find out as much as you can about your culture and your heritage, and it must be exciting.
It's very exciting because I grew up in a white family. I grew up with an adopted family, and it's really filling a hole that I've had for my for the whole of my life. And I think life is about that too. It's about seeking and about learning. And challenging yourself. So it's definitely something that I thrive for.
So another person has just said hello, and that's Lee Sexton.
Yep. So Lee was part of the program as well. Lee came in and she just took off in the kitchen, and she was really my 2IC in the kitchen. She has a company out in Broken Hill, and she's just recently opened up a restaurant as well. And she's also someone who's very inspiring, and someone who I'd like to thrive to become as well, you know, just full of energy, full of life, and you know, really, really, you know, she's meticulous and organised as well, and she's a rock star, man. She's just amazing. So shout out. How you going?
Your face just lights up when you're happy. You've got a beautiful face.
Yeah.
So tell me about this dinner that you were part of. What was the program that you were part of?
So the program was the Djinda Ngardak program, and it was a pilot run through a program that was running out in WA, and Kath and Karen Abercrombie, you know, they're kind of like the mothers of this program, and they were able to come out and be a part of that as well. But essentially what it was a program where we had kids, Indigenous kids regionally coming in and spending I think it was 4 or 5 days at the Dubbo Long Distance Event. Amy Greenshields was involved, and Liana Taylor, who works at Long Distance Ed. And the program was really focused on educating young Indigenous kids about ingredients, native ingredients, and being a part of creating something for a showcase. So every day the kids would sort of go out and
Sorry, Nell. So was this kids that had kind of had been brought up a bit like yourself, where they hadn't been actually with their birth family?
No, these were just Indigenous kids that were in high school, and so yeah, they kind of put in submissions, and we had a whole panel sort of go through and pick the kids, and it was just about them wanting to learn about their culture and really kind of like an immersion program. You know, we were kind of educating kids about their ingredients and having them be involved. So some of the, you know, all the kids went to a local Aboriginal cafe. Some of, you know, all of us went to the zoo to talk about totems, and, you know, and then we had them in the kitchen, and Adam did some sessions with them, you know, made bread and damper, and you know, we had one of the uncles out there, Uncle Cecil, show them how to break down a kangaroo, and, you know, and teach them how to make pasta, and, you know, we spent, you know, they also had opportunities to do their art, you know, on a canvas, and, you know, dot painting, and we also had the NICI come out, and the girls from WA come out and talk about the program, and really kind of immerse them into leading up to what would be the dinner, you know, the showcase. And so we on that night, that final night, we had I think it was something like 85, 90 people show up for this beautiful showcase that was to highlight the kids and what they'd done during that week. And, you know, Lee and Liz, also we had Adam there, and we just let them sort of take reign and plate the food. You know, we had beautiful kangaroo dishes. We had, you know, we had a whole range of things. We had desserts. We had platters from the Willet Cafe in Dubbo. And we also had the mayor, the local mayor, come out, and all their families and friends, and you know, and just trying to give them a little bit of self-determination, and to be able to pass down knowledge that is part of who they are, through food.
That's amazing. I actually remember this, and I remember speaking to Adam about it, because he was out there. I think it was for quite a few days, and we actually speak every day, mind you. So when he came back and I was chatting to him, I said, "What did you learn? Like, did this change your life in some way?" And it actually did.
Yeah. It really is one of those, you know, beautifully created programs, you know, and I got the opportunity to speak to Kath McDougall and Karen Abercrombie, who run this program out in WA, and you know, what they do out there is just some brilliant stuff. You know, they're working with communities that are so rural that don't even speak language, don't even speak English, and, you know, having conversations with them about the intention of the program and you know, the way that it was, you know, sort of steering and going in a direction. You know, and they're also two beautiful people as well. And, you know, I'm blessed to have been a part of that. And, you know, I can't thank them from the bottom of my heart for having me involved. So,
is it something that you would like to venture into with your career? Is sort of going into that role model, mentor phase?
At some stage, you know, I've thought about maybe going into education. And that's sort of something that you know, if I was to commit to that, then I would have to kind of put my knives away for a little bit to focus on study. But I think the ultimate goal is to become mobile and to be able to travel around and share the food that I'm creating using our native ingredients. And you know, I've worked at a couple of places in town. You know, I've worked at a pizzeria out at Deluso Estate, and you know, the experiences that I'm getting here at Pipe Clay, and, you know, these are long-term goals, and, you know, paying off a mortgage and everything that sort of comes along with that. So it's just a journey, and I think part of being on that journey is just exploring and trying to work out, you know, what mold you want to fit into or where you want to sort of branch off. And that's the beauty of the hospitality industry is that there's so many opportunities and ways that people can go. Yeah.
This I'm just looking at the website at the moment for the Pipe Clay Pump House.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's definitely art on a plate, I think, and, you know, if you can get the pictures up, that would be amazing to show everyone who's sitting at home.
See if I can actually share my screen. Can you see that? Now let me go back to the home page. Can you see that now? No?
There we go. Yeah, this is the Pipe Clay Pump House. This is where I'm enough about them. Yep. So if you go to the gallery there should be a gallery.
The gallery. Yep.
And that should have some of the photos of all the food that Andy and the team do.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so once lockdown finishes, you know, and everyone's able to travel, it's worth the trip to come out and experience that.
I'm definitely coming out to see you.
Yeah.
So is this the finest food that you've ever had the beauty of working with?
Yeah, this is the duck's nuts for me. And you know, I love it. Everything that's on the dishes is there's intention. You know, it's meticulous. It's really thought out. You know, and food. It's just. There's nothing like it in Mudgee, nothing like it at all. To me, it's probably one of the top, and I'm not saying that just because I work there. You know, I think everyone needs to come out and experience it. Yeah.
Looks amazing, Malerie. So what section are you working on there?
So I'm employed as a departie, which is below a sous chef. I'm basically just a support chef, so technically I would be on a section. As of now, and with COVID and everything like that, Andy kind of had me moving around and doing all sorts of stuff. But I would work on trays with the sous chef there, Sean, if if you're there, hello. Yeah, so I've just I'm everywhere. I'm just supporting, sort of who needs to be supported, and so I'm loving every bit of it.
You'll actually get the opportunity to also learn a lot more as well.
Yeah, I'm learning. I'm learning pretty much every day I'm there. A new technique, a new way of doing something that I've never done before. And Andy has the time and the patience and the passion to teach. And that makes my job a lot easier because there's no ego, there's no tension. Even sort of during service, there's no screaming, there's no yelling. Everything is planned to a T, and that makes a huge difference.
So so in Mudgee, what is I know that Mudgee's got a big culture about it. Where does a lot of your ingredients come from? Is it locally acquired?
Yeah, we have a local fruit and veg supplier that lives just on the outskirts of town, but we also have connections with Dubbo, which is probably, I'd say, 95% of where our food comes from.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we also have a local seafood man, Kent Baldwin, who travels from Newcastle across. He brings all fresh seafood and stuff like that. I think it just comes down to the workplace itself. Do we want to outsource local fresh ingredients at a higher cost to produce better food? They're all just the questions that each business needs to ask.
And are you learning about the whole food and wine as well, the matching of food and wine?
Yeah. Oh, look, I'm not really. I don't drink, so
I don't either. So I hear you.
Yeah, so it's a little bit harder to learn about sort of the combination between wines and food. I'm willing to try. Obviously just a little nip, but generally I go from people who know wines and know their stuff with wines, and I'm kind of in a position where I don't really make the final calls now. Like I've kind of stepped back from being in managerial positions, and I'm just enjoying cooking and working a line. That's what I miss the most, just working a line and working with the team and getting the job done. So
I love that. That's really, really amazing to hear you say that you've thrown yourself back into it like that, and you're just embracing the whole learning and the whole journey. I think that you're amazing. So what is the ultimate Malerie dream? What is it that you want to do with your life?
The ultimate dream that I have, and maybe this comes after the food van, and we've done Australia, and packed up the RV with the dog and my wife, and done the big trip. I think the main aspiration that I have is to have a restaurant in town, good, honest, humble food, beautiful brigade, beautiful team to work with. And just settle down, and if borders open up again, there's room there for some travel. I'd love to go to the Asian countries, Cambodia and Thailand and all that sort of stuff. But I think the end goal is to have my own business and also be a part of employing Indigenous people and giving them a chance, because people, when I went through my apprenticeship, people gave me a chance. I was an absolute wreck to start with, and I come with a lot of baggage, and if I can forward that on, pay it forward to people who need an opportunity, then I'm going to do it.
So we've just had some people that have joined us that obviously hadn't heard us talking about what your favorite native ingredients were. Do you want to just tell us again, just overview of what those were?
Yep. So my favourite native ingredient are the Davidson Plums, and we spoke briefly about how they were sour and tart and very versatile. You can use them in savoury. You can use them in dessert. If you gave them enough, you could probably eat them raw. And also the saltbush. The saltbush grows abundantly where my mob's from, Ruby saltbush. And Liz Clinton, who commented not too long ago, she started harvesting quandongs out there as well.
Oh, wow.
And I'm eager to get my hands on some of them. So Liz, if you're listening, you'll have to send me down some.
Someone was actually talking about quandongs the other day, and I cannot for the life of me remember who it was.
Yeah.
They were also talking about how much they enjoyed them, and they're right in season now, I think.
Yeah, they're starting to come into season now, and you can use the whole part of the fruit. You can use the seeds. You know, I know one of the businesses down here in town uses them in their diffusers. You can use them. They're highly flammable, so you can actually use them to start fires if you're out bush. And you can use the flesh to make pies, which is something that Liz has done, and she's posted on Facebook about the little tarts that she's made. You can make tarts and pies, and you can use them. You can put them in syrup and soak them, and they become nice and juicy and sweet. There's a lot of things that are coming into season, and I can't wait. I really can't wait for that.
So Liz has just said I have 4 kilos in the freezer.
Yep. You'll have to get on to sending me some, sister.
So have you done much? What's your favourite cooking style? Like, what technique do you enjoy to play around with?
So I was formerly trained as an Italian chef. So anything to do with sort of Italian technique, Italian food, you know, pastas, salads, fish, meat, that's, you know, I'm an all-rounder, but Italian cuisine is my number one.
Do you make a mean pizza?
Yeah. well that's part of the secrets when the food truck happens, and I can't really say too much about that right now, but it's definitely on the cards. So yeah, Italian is my go-to, and you know, that's my love, you know. Yeah.
I wonder how it would go if you were to mix Italian and fuse it with the native Australian ingredient. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. Just through trends and stuff like that, I know Kylie Kwong's been, you know, she's infamous for fusing Indigenous native ingredients with you know, with the Asian flavors and stuff like that, and that seems to be the most common fuse. So over the next couple of years, I'm going to be working very, very hard on trying to fuse Italian and native ingredients. So that's going to be the challenge, to see if we can start coming up with some more fusions.
So you mentioned before that you've got a wife.
Yes.
And what does your wife do?
So my beautiful, supportive wife, she's a stay-at-home wife. She's a jack of all trades. She knows how to use tools and spanners and drills and grinders and all sorts of stuff. I wouldn't have a clue how to use any of that sort of stuff. So she is the fix-it woman at home, and she also does a couple of odd jobs in town just to sort of help out some of the elderlies in town with their yards and stuff like that.
And it's not like you don't have a lot of acres where you are. I mean, you're talking about quite a big property, right?
Yeah. So we got 25 acres. We've got a 5-acre block cleared up top, which is eventually hopefully going to be turning into a sheep and goat and cows and all that sort of stuff. We're going to have like a little hobby farm, and then the rest of it's sort of wooded. So during lockdown, I've been doing a lot of walks through the property, and snakes are out and about, which has been a bit chaotic, but that just comes with being.
Do you hate snakes? Do they scare you?
They scare me, but I respect them. You know, we're in their country. It's kind of like when we're on the roads and kangaroos are being hit. We have to remember that we're in their country, we're on their land. So I have a healthy respect for animals.
It's actually,
definitely.
It actually reminds me of something. When I was out at Mudgee last, going between Mudgee and towards sort of like Musselbrook. Anyway, I could not believe the amount of dead kangaroos on the side of the road and wombats.
Yeah. It's just we've kind of created roads and tracks, and we've kind of destroyed environment. And I think we tend to forget that this country is abundant in animals and life. It's almost it's a bit sad that we've kind of become desensitized by seeing roadkill on the side of the road and kangaroos, and especially with the bushfires that have just come through not too long ago. I think just having a respect for animals and respect for the country that you're on, picking up your rubbish, making sure that you're not leaving anything behind that's going to harm our environment, harm our animals, and it's just being aware. That we're on somebody else's country. Yeah.
I love that. Well, can you believe it's been an hour?
I cannot. We could do this all day, I think.
So listen, I'm going to definitely come out to Mudgee and visit you at the restaurant, and meet you in person. I really look forward to that day. I think that you're amazing, and I love what you're doing, and you're actually a big inspiration.
Yeah, I've gone through so much in my life, and if there's one thing that I've learned, it's just to be humble and to give what you get. If you pass on what you've learned, or you pass on opportunity, and just being humble. This is all about just being humble and recognizing that nobody's perfect. And sharing knowledge. That's all it comes down to, and loving what you do, loving life, loving your passion, and that excites me. That makes me happy. So yeah.
That's great. And on that note, my friend, thank you so much. I'm so sorry about the audio. I don't know what's wrong with it today.
Not a problem. Thank you so much for having me on, and thanks to everybody that's listening. And we'll talk soon.
We will, and lots of love.
All right.
Take care, okay?
Right back at you.
Bye.
Bye.